Okay, The Hereafter is directed and produced by Clint Eastwood, and essentially it is three independent tales that are kind of conjoined at the same time about people dealing with different forms of loss. You have a French reporter who survives a near-death experience with a giant tsunami, and it really begins to affect her life, and that kind of makes her investigative career kind of more difficult as she's trying to develop more of an idea of what exactly happened and why she's seeing these occasional weird sort of visions. That's one of the stories. The other story, it takes place primarily in London, and it is a child who's dealing with loss. And then the third portion is Matt Damon's character, who, before the movie takes place, used his ability to, if he touches you, like hold your hand, he gets to see loved ones who have gone on. So he would be an actual authentic, medium who actually talks with the dead. And prior to the movie, he apparently had a very successful career. He had books, TV show, website, whole nine yards. And then he decided to quit doing that, and now he works for CNH Sugar. With his brother Jay Moore constantly trying to go, we could do this again, we could make a lot of money with it, it'd be really easy to do. So the Matt Damon story is him trying to come to grips with the fact that if he touches anybody, he's going to see people who have died, people who have passed on, and he's going to learn a lot of your deep, dark secrets. So it's him trying to cope with his ability, the child from London trying to cope with his personal loss, as well as the fact that his mother's a drug addict. So he's in foster homes while at the same time he's trying to deal with this huge interpersonal loss. And then the woman from France kind of going from like these taught political investigative, being the face of companies and being really successful to trying to figure out more of what happens after we die. So the weird thing is, with it being three independent stories, the Matt Damon one, they all start out kind of slow, because your first hour is kind of the establishment of each of the three independent stories. And then most of your second hour is those stories finally progressing and becoming really interesting. And then them all kind of dovetailing together at the very end. This movie does have some slow spots. That's probably because you have three independent stories going on. One of them is entirely subtitled because they're primarily speaking French, except for the part where they're speaking a little bit of Swiss. So you've got the two. They're speaking proper English, American, and then the one that's subtitled. And that one constantly kind of seems to throw things off just a tad. And then when they all combine kind of towards the end, they actually work out fairly well. So, in my mind, it's a very solid movie. It is sad, it is depressing, it's dealing with death. And maybe if they did a little bit less with the woman from France, even though at the end of it, her story really ties in very well, it's just very disjunctive when it happens. Because that's when you go from, essentially having to read the dialogue as opposed to just hearing it. And that is The Hereafter. It's a very well done movie when it comes to taking three individual stories about people dealing with essentially death, the grieving process, and the potential possibilities of there being an afterlife.